In a time long ago, the world was a place of great wickedness and corruption. Humanity's hearts were continually inclined towards evil. The Bible tells us in Genesis 6:5, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time." God, grieved by the state of His creation, decided to bring a flood to cleanse the earth. He intended to start anew. But amidst this overwhelming darkness, there was one man who stood out. His name was Noah. Unlike others, Noah was righteous and blameless in his generation. Genesis 6:9 describes him as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah's faithfulness was not just in his actions, but in his relationship with God. While the world around him was immersed in corruption and violence, Noah remained steadfast. This commitment and righteousness set him apart as the only one who found favor in God's eyes. God's decision to save Noah was a significant one. It was a moment of divine grace and a chance to preserve a remnant of humanity to rebuild. Noah's story is not just a tale of survival, but a profound lesson on faith, obedience, and the hope of redemption. As we delve deeper into Noah's story, we'll explore how his obedience to God's commands became the cornerstone of a new beginning for humanity.
The clouds where angels fly, lonely roads no more.
In the midst of widespread corruption and moral decay, Noah stood out as a beacon of righteousness. The Bible describes him in Genesis 6:9 as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. While the world around him was filled with violence and wickedness, Noah remained steadfast in his faith and obedience to God. Noah's life was marked by a deep personal relationship with the Creator. Unlike those around him, whose hearts were inclined towards evil, Noah lived with integrity and reverence. This faithful walk with God was not just a series of actions, but a reflection of his inner character. God's favor upon Noah was a result of his unwavering righteousness. Despite the widespread moral failure of his generation, Noah's faithfulness set him apart. He was chosen to be the one through whom God would preserve life and start anew. God's instructions to Noah were clear and detailed. Genesis 6:14 provides God's command. "So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out." The ark was not just a boat, it was a symbol of hope and salvation. Noah's obedience in building this massive vessel, following every specification given by God, demonstrated his trust and commitment. Noah's task was monumental. Building the ark required immense faith and patience. It was not just about constructing a boat, but about preparing for an event that no one had ever seen before, a catastrophic flood. Yet, Noah did not waver. He carried out God's instructions precisely, despite the skepticism and possibly ridicule from those around him. This act of obedience was more than just a physical endeavor. It was a profound testament to Noah's trust in God's promises. His righteousness was a beacon of hope, showing that even in a world marred by corruption, there could be faithfulness and salvation. As we reflect on Noah's story, we see that his righteousness was not only about his individual moral conduct, but also about his faithful response to God's commands. Noah's unwavering commitment serves as a powerful reminder of how one person's faithfulness can make a difference in a world in need of redemption.
The time had come for the flood that God had promised to cleanse the earth. With the ark completed and Noah, his family, and the animals safely aboard, the moment of reckoning arrived. God had warned Noah of this event, and now it was time for his words to come to fruition. In Genesis 7:11, the Bible describes the beginning of the flood. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. This marked the start of a cataclysmic event that would reshape the world. For 40 days and 40 nights, rain fell continuously. The waters rose, and the earth was engulfed in a deluge of unprecedented scale. Genesis 7:12 tells us, "And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights." The once calm landscape was transformed into a vast, unrecognizable expanse of water. The floodwaters did not merely cover the land, they overwhelmed everything in their path. The mountains, which had once towered above the land, were now submerged under the flood. Genesis 7:19 reveals, "They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered." As the waters surged, the ark floated above the chaos, a solitary refuge amidst the destruction. This was a profound moment of divine intervention, where God's judgment on a corrupt world met his provision for Noah and the lives he was preserving. The ark, a symbol of salvation, became a beacon of hope and protection against the overwhelming flood. The flood was not just a physical event, but a significant turning point in the narrative of humanity. It was an expression of God's power and a dramatic act of renewal. For Noah and those with him, it was a time of waiting and trust as they were carried through the storm on the ark.
As the floodwaters continued to rise, they completely transformed the landscape. For 150 days, the waters prevailed upon the earth, covering everything in their path. This period marked a dramatic shift from the familiar world Noah once knew to a vast, endless ocean. Genesis 7:24 tells us, "The waters flooded the earth for 150 days." During this time, the floodwaters did not recede. Instead, they overwhelmed and engulfed the land. The earth, once rich with mountains, valleys, and rivers, was now a unified expanse of water, with no sign of the land visible. The flood had reached its peak. The Bible describes how the waters had not only covered the hills, but had submerged even the highest mountains. Genesis 7:19 states, "They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered." This was a clear indication of the flood's overwhelming scale and its total impact on the earth. Within the ark, Noah, his family, and the animals were safely protected from the devastation outside. The ark floated above the waters, a symbol of hope and preservation amidst the total destruction. It was their only refuge, providing them with safety and security in an otherwise perilous situation. This period of the flood was not just a time of physical change, but also a profound moment of divine judgment and renewal. The waters symbolized a fresh start for creation, a cleansing from the corruption that had plagued the earth. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Noah and his companions on the ark could only wait and trust in God's promise. The floodwaters would eventually begin to recede, but until then, the ark remained their sanctuary, floating on the vast, all-encompassing sea.
Waters recede, earth starts to show. Hope plants a seed, watch it grow.
After the floodwaters had prevailed for 150 days, a remarkable transformation began. The earth was slowly drying, and the waters started to recede, signaling the end of this monumental deluge. The Bible describes this pivotal moment in Genesis 8:1. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark, and he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. The process of the waters receding was gradual. The waters did not just disappear overnight. They slowly began to withdraw. The Bible continues in Genesis 8:3. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the waters had gone down. As the days passed, Noah could see signs of the earth re-emerging from beneath the floodwaters. To gauge whether the land was becoming habitable again, Noah sent out a raven and then a dove. Genesis 8:7 tells us, "Then he sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth." The raven's flight indicated the waters were not yet fully receded. Later, Noah sent out a dove. This dove eventually returned with an olive leaf, signaling that the waters had significantly receded and that vegetation was beginning to grow again. Genesis 8:11 describes this hopeful sign. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. Finally, when the earth was dry, Noah and his family were able to leave the ark and begin a new chapter. Genesis 8:14 tells us, by the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. The end of the flood marked a new beginning for humanity and all living creatures. The world, though changed, was ready for renewal and a fresh start.
Rivers run clear, hear nature call, no more fear. Feel the
As the waters of the great flood finally receded and the earth emerged from beneath the vast sea, Noah and his family stepped out of the ark into a world that was once again dry and ready for renewal. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in the story of creation. It was at this pivotal moment that God established a profound and enduring covenant with Noah and all living creatures. In Genesis 9:12, God spoke to Noah saying, "And God said, 'This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come.'" This covenant was a promise of divine assurance that the earth would not be destroyed by a flood again. The sign of this covenant was the rainbow. Genesis 9:13 tells us, "I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." The rainbow, with its vibrant colors arching across the sky, became a powerful symbol of God's promise and faithfulness. It served as a visible reminder of His commitment to preserve life and maintain the natural order. God's promise extended beyond Noah's time. It was a covenant for all future generations, symbolizing not only God's mercy, but also His enduring relationship with creation. Genesis 9:15 explains, "Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life." This assurance provided hope and stability for humanity and the natural world. As Noah and his family began to rebuild their lives, this covenant served as a reassuring promise from God. The rainbow in the sky was a daily reminder of God's grace and His pledge to safeguard the earth. It was a symbol of the fresh start and the enduring bond between the Creator and His creation. Reflecting on this covenant, we see the enduring nature of God's promises. The rainbow continues to be a powerful symbol of hope and divine faithfulness, reminding us of the everlasting relationship between God and the earth. As we conclude the story of Noah, we reflect on the powerful lessons embedded within this ancient narrative. The flood, with its immense scale and profound impact, was not merely an event of destruction, but a story of divine judgment, mercy, and renewal. Noah's faithfulness in a time of widespread corruption highlights the strength and resilience of a righteous individual. His unwavering trust in God's commands allowed him to become the vessel through which humanity and all living creatures were preserved. The ark, a symbol of salvation amidst chaos, stands as a testament to the impact of steadfast faith and obedience. The flood itself was a moment of divine intervention, cleansing the earth and setting the stage for a new beginning. As the waters receded and the earth was renewed, God's covenant with Noah emerged as a profound declaration of hope. The rainbow, a beautiful and enduring symbol of God's promise, reminds us that even after the most challenging times, there is always a new beginning and a chance for renewal. This story underscores the importance of faith and the power of divine promises. The covenant God made with Noah was not just for his time, but extends through generations, reflecting an enduring relationship between God and all creation. It is a promise of preservation and hope, even in the face of adversity. As we move forward, let the lessons from Noah's story inspire us to uphold faith, embrace the promises of renewal, and trust in the divine guidance that leads us through our own trials. The rainbow, a symbol of hope and assurance, continues to remind us of the everlasting bond between the Creator and creation. In this timeless narrative, we find not only a historical account, but a profound message for our own lives. No matter the trials we face, there is always the promise of a new beginning and the assurance of divine faithfulness.
Clouds drift away, blue skies unfold, brightens the day, future